I'll say them. Hi, I'm Ruth. I'm co-founder of Hisby Food CIC, which is a new independent supermarket chain. And I'm here today to talk about crowdsourcing the supermarket revolution. And it's basically my story of how we went from a concept to building a brand to opening a thriving business, all powered by a highly motivated crowd. I'm going to tell you how we built the crowd, how we motivated the crowd, and how we still work with them today. Thank you. This is me and my sister. This is us lurking around in our store, and this is us lurking around dodgy areas of London. We are social entrepreneurs and the co-founders of Hisby. We have very different professional backgrounds. So I am corporate girl. I was in big global companies for 16 years, Procter & Gamble, Unilever, Sara Lee, and loved the communication and marketing side of my job, but got very disillusioned at some point with the profit-driving obsession that drives these companies and fuels them, and it was no longer satisfying enough for me just to hit the numbers. I wanted to do something that I really cared about with what I wanted to do. Amy, very different. I was corporate girl, she was public sector girl, and she worked with the fire service, the police force, Groundwork, which is the UK's largest environmental agency, and with young people in underprivileged areas. So quite different, but again, she wanted to change from what she was doing. And I don't really like the term social entrepreneurs, but it's quite well understood. It's simply setting up a business that has social value and serves community as well as making money, and it's really important to do both. Yes.
Is that right?
Yes, that's fine, thank you. You're good at reading my pauses. So we got pissed off with supermarkets. Basically, we think supermarkets should do the right thing as well as make money. This is the 21st century. We have serious issues in the food industry, and we think supermarkets should be championing a fairer, more ethical and more sustainable food industry and fixing some of these issues. We think that it should just be normal to eat responsibly sourced food. Might sound a bit radical, but yeah, it should be normal and affordable to eat well-sourced, good food. So we decided to do something about it and reinvent supermarkets. And we had a very clear idea about how we should do that. We basically wanted to break the mould. We thought the best thing to do was set up a pilot store and from that grow it into a chain. And we're doing crazy ass things like paying suppliers fairly, paying a living wage to employees, not throwing away food that could be eaten, really crazy stuff. And basically operating in a way that's ethical and fairer and more sustainable, and that serves the community, not the shareholders. So it's turning the supermarket model on its head. Very successful supermarket model, which we think is becoming outdated. And for us, it's just a supermarket how it should be, which is why we called our business Hisby. It stands for how it should be.
Can I just jump in and just say, would people prefer the lights down so you can see the slides? Or we're going to struggle with filming, but I think it's about, do you want to see more of the slides?
I think we should have the main audience here once. So, hands up if you want the lights down. Hands up if you're happy with them as they are. I have no idea where that's going.
Keep going.
Let's keep going, sorry.
This is our pilot store in Brighton. We've been open for 14 months. It's a large store, it's 3,000 square feet. Well, it has to be if you're going to start talking about taking on supermarkets. We're getting thousands of people a week through the door. We actually this month will hit our first million in turnover, which is really an exciting milestone for us. And the location has been crucial. I don't know if any of you know Brighton, but it's in London Road, which is a cheap and cheerful area of town. It was very important for us to set up somewhere affordable, because the whole point is to make the food more affordable for more people. So we put all the good food in one place. It's as local, sustainable, fair trade, GM-free, etc., as it can be. And we erode the high margins and prices normally associated with good food. Because unfortunately, we're all being sold good food at artificially high prices. So that's what it stands for, and I'm just reminding myself what else. Oh yes, we serve communities, not shareholders, and we put the happiness before profits. We put the happiness in this order of our employees, customers and suppliers before profits, and that's what drives our whole ethos. And we're helping shoppers use their money for good, because we truly believe if you put your money into what you believe in, into what you think is right, you help that grow. So we have big dreams. Over the next 30 years, we want to build a national chain and truly transform the food industry, so that people have access to good food. It's just how it should be, at affordable prices. Next one, please. But in August 2010, when Amy and I sat next to each other in our little flat in Brighton, we didn't have a bloody clue how to open a supermarket or run one or anything. We basically had a vision, a very clear idea of how a supermarket should be, having done lots of research and lots of thinking on it. And we had our values. We sat down and worked out what was really important to us in our lives, in our personalities, and what we wanted to bring through in our brand. The basis of a brand grew here. And we had the kind of insurmountable optimistic belief that people either really love or really hate. And we had a belief that all the trends that we were serving were growing. So the market was in our favour, and the appetite for social enterprise and ethical consumerism and good food was growing around us. So we had, we think, well-founded belief. A lot of people thought we were a bit nuts, but hey-ho. So, but we didn't have the next stuff. Experts, money, or credibility. We needed a retail experts, we needed people who could mentor us, we needed to know how to raise money, how to build a supply chain. We really didn't have any of the practical stuff in place, but I've always believed that imagination is more important than experience, and it served us well. We needed to raise £200,000 for our business plan, because that's how much it was going to cost to renovate this place, turn it into what could look like a 21st century supermarket, and stock it and staff it. So it's a lot of money. And credibility, well, nobody knew who we were. Who's going to give two sisters with an idea about taking on Tesco 200 grand? And what we believed at the time was that credibility was the most important thing here, that if we could build a voice and a brand that was credible and had meaning and people would believe in, and use that to harness a crowd of people who cared, then the experts would come and the money would come and the shop would open and the customers would come. And so that was our premise. We realised we had to build a rallying cry for a new type of supermarket. But how do you build a rallying cry for a new type of supermarket? So I don't know if you can read that, but we spent 3 years geeked out in this room, building a brand and talking to people and connecting up the people who cared in this world of fair and ethical and sustainable food. You can't see it here, but we bought, and it's really sad, we bought all furniture that was the brand colours, and the kettle was bright blue, and you know, it just kind of, we lived and breathed the brand in that room, and that's where it was born. Hisby was born from a blog, actually. So the next one, what did we do? First, we created an identity, a compelling identity, and a physical, tangible presence for what we were. I call this lighthouse building. I think change makers or brand builders, when they're setting out their idea, it's like they're building their lighthouse for other people to see. And it might be a bit wonky and on a rock, but it's there and it starts to be visible. And so we just built an identity online. We built a website. We taught ourselves how to use Facebook for business and Twitter and other social media platforms, because we had to set about building a reputation and recognition, because it's all about creating familiarity on one hand and trust on the other. People won't support stuff where there's no familiarity and there's no trust, and you have to earn that, and you earn that steadily in a room in Brighton over 3 years by blogging and brand building. Trust has to be earned, and we realised that if people were going to give us £200,000, we had to stand for something that they believed in. The first thing we did when we were connected up was we connected with all the people who were doing great work in this world already in ethical and sustainable and fair food. People like the Soil Association, the Fair Trade Foundation, and we often say to each other that 5 years ago we couldn't have done this because Twitter didn't exist. I don't think we'd have our brand without Twitter, because what that did is it enabled us to get in the door and hold the hand of people who we would never have had access to. And so by aligning ourselves with these people, by learning from what they do, retweeting their content, sharing their information and informing ourselves, we were able to build up a presence in this world of ethical food. We listened to what they had to say. We connected in a meaningful way that felt very natural to us. And doing this aligned ourselves with this world. And then, if you can imagine, we built our lighthouse. We switched on the full beam. That is to say that we started blogging, we started publishing our own content, and we became an influential voice in this world because we'd done a lot of research and we'd listened to these experts, and we created this language for what would a sustainable diet look like. And we've got these 8 principles: go local, choose seasonal, protect nature. We started blogging around issues in the food industry, talking about these issues. And these are my drawings that I did. I'm a bit embarrassed actually in a room full of creative people, but we did little pictures around them. We started saying, you know, a good food system is one that supports high welfare for animals. A good food system is one that supports a tackling of the waste issue and supporting as much local food as possible. So we gained recognition in this area. We became very knowledgeable. And we switched on this beam, and in doing so started to attract people who helped us. Because when you do that, when you set intention out there, people come. And so we focused on what it meant to us, which people found inspiring. And inspire is one of my favourite words, because to inspire implies a kind of positive physiological change in a person. Because when you're inspired, you are moved to act or think something differently to what you did before. That to me is amazing, and that is the crux of motivation. If you're going to inspire someone and they feel something, then they are motivated to act for you and to work with you. So this is what we did, and we inspired people not by saying, oh yeah, we're opening this blue shop on London Road, and we're going to sell a few veggies and fair trade coffee. We said we want to transform the food industry. We want to, over 30 years take on Tesco. We want to do something really positive here. And that meaning that we created is what attracted people. And we had people give us all kind of free stuff. We had a guy with 30 years experience in retail drive down from Birmingham and stay with us and plan out the store. We had people give us a van. You know, we had social innovators designed the store for us over a weekend, gave up their time, because people cared about it and they wanted to see a new type of supermarket succeed. Through the network and the crowd that we created online, we raised all the credibility, the expert help and the money that we needed, including we got money from Gordon Roddick, we got money from Triodos Bank, our local MP opened the store. By the time we opened the doors, we had thousands of people ready and waiting to shop with us, which we knew was a key success factor because those first few months of the store operation are really, really sensitive and key. While we were renovating, behind these windows was just rubble, so we blued out the windows and we put what we stood for on the windows, and again it was talking about how shopper power can change the retail landscape and our role in that. And then we worked the crowd to raise the money. So we needed 200 grand, and we figured that the best way to persuade people that this was commercially viable was to crowdfund a big chunk of it. So we crowdfunded £30,000 worth, and through BuzzBank we sold money off vouchers for a shop that didn't exist yet. 30 grand's worth of money off vouchers for a shop that didn't exist yet, because people believed, they bought into the meaning, they loved what we were doing, and they wanted it to succeed. So we were able to use that 30,000 to leverage the rest, because when you go to a bank and you say, we've got 30 grand's worth of vouchers sold, customers waiting to come in the door on day one, and hundreds of people want this shop to exist, they then listen to you, whereas the year before they'd just not listen to us. So it's not about, crowdfunding is not just about the money itself in hand, it's what you can leverage it into, and it's creating a customer base, and it creates credibility. So, final slide please, thank you. So we're still working the crowd, and we had our first birthday in December. It was very important to us to have a first birthday, because so many people tell you when you start a business that it will fail within a year. That's like one of the favourite lines people like to tell you. So on day one of opening the store, we started organising the first birthday party. Of course, we left most of it to the last minute, as you do, but We had the first birthday party to thank the crowd. So we invited anyone who'd given us money, the crowdfunders, the investors, Gordon Roddick, the people who had been in on it from the beginning. And we had a big party to celebrate. And we still work the crowd. We still work with the crowd. So we use Twitter and Facebook and Pinterest now as the voice and of stories from the store. So we tell people about products coming in, supplier stories, what we're up to, and by the same token we get feedback from them. So we change, we list new products, we've listed hundreds of new products because people ask for them. We change policies in the store, we do things that our customers want, and it's created a dialogue with the crowd. And they kindly as well, they use social media to support us. So we get people, we've won several national and local awards for green business, ethical business and food and drink through our crowd nominating us for awards, which is really rewarding and really nice thing to be able to say. So we will always look after the crowd, and over the next 30 years we will crowdsource each store. So we're going to go only where communities want us, which again is quite revolutionary for a supermarket. And we will raise half the money each time from the community and go there if the crowdfunding is successful. So I guess really what I wanted to say is that how two sisters built an ethical supermarket with a dream to take on the food industry is by building and motivating and harnessing a crowd of people who care.